Welcome to the LDA Podcast, a series by the Learning Disabilities Association of America. Our podcast is dedicated to exploring topics of interest to educators, individuals with learning disabilities, parents, and professionals to work towards our goal of creating a more equitable world.
Hello, listener. My name is Tracy Gregoire, and I am the Healthy Children Project Director for the Learning Disabilities Association of America. Today, we are talking about lead and lead-impacted families. First, we want to let you know that if you have somebody in your life that has been lead poisoned, you are not alone. Today, I am very fortunate to have three guests joining me to talk about lead poisoning and lead poisoning prevention. Melly Garcia is with the Ecology Center, Jamila Mon with the Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan, and Michelle Eason, a parent ambassador. Melly, please tell us about the Ecology Center and the Great Lakes Lead Elimination Network and why we came up with this idea to do a podcast.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you to Jamila and to Michelle for being on this podcast call. I am so excited to hear your story, Michelle, and learn more. So in 2019, the Great Lakes Lead Elimination Network was created by leadership at the Ecology Center, which is housed in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So in an effort to bring organizations who work on a variety of lead issues together in one space, we decided to create the Great Lakes Lead Elimination Network. We're all on a mission to prevent lead poisoning in children in the Great Lakes region. And we work to eliminate lead hazards in homes, schools, workplaces. We share resources with each other, and we engage with decision makers and lawmakers regarding local and state level policy. We now have over 30 organizations in Glen. We also have 5 new parent-led organizations as well. So 2 years ago, Robin Brown, who is our partner, she's a national lead expert, parent advocate, and founder of the Collective Citizens Organized Against Lead, CECO, and myself, we really wanted to create a space where parents could come and share their stories and talk about lead issues that are happening in their community. And so we created the family work group. And as of today, we have a little bit over of 10 members who are participating in the work group. And we meet once a month. We come together and we talk. We met Michelle through the parent work group. And we are so excited to bring Michelle and Jamila to talk about their story on lead. So we know it is extremely important anytime that we are talking about lead poisoning that we hear the parents who are directly impacted, that we hear from their voice directly. And I don't think that we do that enough. We need to create more opportunities to hear from the people that are dealing with this on a daily basis. Over and over again. Some people are dealing with this generationally. So maybe like their parents, their grandparents have been lead poisoned, and now they are lead poisoned. So it is an issue that continues. And that's all I got to say.
Thanks so much, Melly. I totally agree that we need to let people speak for themselves and to hear from the parents and the caregivers of children who have been lead poisoned. Next, I have the honor to introduce Jamila Mon. Jamila is with the Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan. Take it away, Jamila.
Thank you, Tracy, for the introduction. I am Jamila Mon with Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan. Such an honor and privilege to be here today in this space, sharing about our work, but most importantly, ways to get involved. Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan, our work is to prioritize children's health and well-being by eliminating harmful housing conditions beginning in some of our hardest hit neighborhoods. We envision that all children will grow up in homes free of environmental hazards, and this is accomplished through our policy and advocacy work, our outreach efforts, our direct services, and continuous collaboration with other partners. Today, I have Michelle Eason join with me, a long-term supporter and advocate in our community in Kent County. Michelle has such a wealth of experience, from her passion and advocacy into transforming lives, to her background in equitable policies and amplifying underrepresented voices. Today, Michelle will be talking about her experience as a parent, as a grandparent, and her partnership with Healthy Homes Coalition. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Jamila, for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about lead education. And before we begin, I just want to share exactly what is lead. Lead is a natural reoccurring element found in the Earth's surface. It was heavily used in commonly household items, including paint. Specifically, it was used in paint for its durability. It made it shine, look better, last longer. But we now know just how harmful it is on the body, and in the home. Lead-based paint was banned in 1978. And so we now know the majority of housing stock in our community, but in Michigan as well, is older homes. So the reality of lead being in those homes are very prevalent. Lead is harmful to the body, including on the bones, the organs, and potentially every system in the body. Michelle, can you share with us and the listeners, when and how did you first find out about lead?
Well, Jamila, when I first found out about lead, it was a few years ago. I saw some documentation that was included in a portion of my rental lease, and I was asked to sign off on it. There was also an inspection report included in my lease. Lead is something that was never talked about in our families growing up. I didn't hear or take seriously the dangers of lead in paint or soil until I was an adult later in life, and our Black and Brown communities were being heavily affected. Our children and seniors were becoming extremely sick. Kent County showed us severe disparities in childhood lead poisoning, especially in the area code of 49507.
Healthy Homes Coalition really truly started based on exactly what you had shared, Michelle. Um, there were significant community members and partner organizations and health organizations that found an overrepresentation of Black and Brown children, but specifically children being exposed and poisoned in particular zip codes in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And one of those being 49507, which had one of the highest amount of children with elevated blood lead levels in the state of Michigan. Michelle, can you share how has lead impacted you, or your family?
Well, my family was impacted when my granddaughter became very sick. She complained of abdominal pain, and her mother was concerned because she was displaying hyperactivity. She had some signs of ADHD and some learning difficulties in school. She was also experiencing episodes where she had loss of mobility in her legs due to damage to her central nervous system, which was found during her final. She had a spinal cord testing. Right now, she's currently seeing different medical specialists, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, and she's also receiving some additional tutoring services at school. And through her doctor's office, the mental therapist, and her teachers, they're all working together, and they have established an individual education plan to provide her with the best possible assistance and support for her. And in the findings of all of this, my daughter, who currently is in a rental property that she's has rented for 11 years, there was also mold that was found in her unit. And so this is what initially sparked an investigation for us to prompt us to get others involved, or more community resources involved.
Michelle, can you walk us through the timeline? When did your daughter notice some of these conditions in your granddaughter?
It's been about just maybe a little over a year now, Jamila.
Okay.
She started experiencing severe illness. She was complaining of headaches. She was complaining of abdominal pain, and then she was also having issues with mobility in her legs. And so there was an instance where my daughter had to rush her over to the ER, and they were running blood tests, urine tests, and just trying to figure out what was wrong. And they found lead in her system, and then they also did a spinal tap. And in doing that, they found some other additional complications that she was experiencing due to lead, and then also the mold that was found in the home.
Wow. And I truly, truly am so sorry that your family has had to go through this. As a mother, I can relate to just wanting to do everything you can so that your child has the best experience in life. And I can only imagine how frustrating that was, that your granddaughter, your innocent granddaughter, was poisoned from lead, and in her home, in her place of haven, in her place of rest. And we know, Michelle, lead poisoning is 100% preventable. There was no reason for her to have to go through this, or any other child. What do you want families to know about lead poisoning?
What I would like families to know is the danger is invisible. There are no immediate symptoms, and that the harm cannot be undone. And it's not just in paint chips. Dust is the number one enemy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That dust that we breathe in, you typically can't see it. It's there. And in these older homes with lead in the paint, what happens is lead most often was used on high friction surfaces. So like the doors, as we're opening the doors or opening and closing the windows, or other surfaces like that, it creates this friction, it creates this dust, which in some situations is visible to the eye. And in our home, the kids are playing, parents are cooking, whatever it may be, we're continuously exposed and breathing in these harmful conditions that are preventable. How can communities better support families? What can we do to move the needle so that children, your granddaughter, are no longer poisoned by lead? What can communities do better?
Communities can better support families impacted by lead exposure by implementing proactive rental inspections. Cities, they should mandate landlords to certify their rental properties as a lead safe before tenants move in. They need to be doing routine inspections. They should be offering mobile testing to clinics, neighborhoods, daycares, and local communities. They should also provide long-term follow-up care. They can distribute free cleaning supplies. A lot of families cannot always afford cleaning supplies. And I think that would be one of our number one things. If we can distribute free cleaning supplies, that would be awesome. And then maybe provide relocation assistance, emergency stipends. Let's train our educators. Let's expedite our individual education plans for services for our children who are in need of them, and provide nutritious meals for our families in homes.
Absolutely, Michelle. I really appreciate your recommendations being a multifaceted, right? Like we know, one, we have to disrupt the system, right? There's a lot of regulations or lack of regulations that are not in place, so that pertaining to the condition of the home. We need to hold landlords accountable and be more forward facing and just standard regulations on properties. We also know that there are some interim things that we can do to minimize some of the exposure, and that's lead safe cleaning. And when we talk about cleaning, it's not just the standard cleaning that we've typically done. We want to eliminate and avoid creating that dust. So a lot of wet cleaning. There are many organizations and resources online about how to find out on how to do those lead safe cleaning techniques. The health department, most health departments are also a great resource in what those items may be, and how you can do those lead safe cleaning techniques. And you're right, a healthy diet can help minimize some of that impact on the body. We need resources to do this. We need money to do this. We need our community to invest in these strategies and these recommendations so that we reach a level of success in our community in which we're no longer reporting on elevated blood lead levels because we reached children before that exposure was there. Michelle, if you have the opportunity to have a conversation right now to lawmakers and decision makers, what would you share to them? What do you want them to do to help the issue of lead poisoning?
I would like my lawmakers and decision makers to mandate strict, safe housing laws. I'd like them to create a lead-free registry with mandatory online database that can track the status of all rental properties, daycares, and schools. We want funding for window replacement programs, and we'd like them to modernize and eliminate lead pipes. Those are the
Absolutely.
four main things, Jamila, that I would really like for our lawmakers and decision makers to make happen for us and our families and our communities.
Absolutely. And we know there's so much power in our voice. We saw a few years ago in which there were organizations, community-based organizations, parents, other folks with lived experience that came together to share the importance of universal lead testing, which really created the standard of which of when children are tested for lead, at what intervals. And that went into effect. And so we're so glad that Michigan is a part of universal lead testing, which also reduces the area for subjectivity, right? So all children are tested, and not so much as who has what insurance or what program they may be in that requires testing, but all children are tested. And we're thankful for that, that went into place. Michelle, if listeners could take one action after hearing your story and your experience, what would it be?
The one action that listeners could take after hearing my story is to get tested. Get tested, get tested, get tested. Do not wait for symptoms. Oftentimes, parents are not aware of what the symptoms are. Um, please don't wait for your landlord to fix the problem. And don't assume that your home is safe because it looks clean. A lot of times I'm OCD myself, and we can clean and we can clean and we can clean, but there are certain areas that just prone to dust, and it's nothing that we do as parents or as a housekeeper or whatever your role is in the home. Just everyday cleaning, everyday wiping. There's bound to be something. We can't get everything all the time, but just be aware of the most things that can be hazardous, or the most things that are more at surface than other things. And catching exposure early allows you to stop the source of lead before damage to a child's brain and body become permanent or irreversible.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Michelle. I second that. I would say um, invest by investing in your future, invest now. And what I mean by that is invest your time, your resources, your voice, in uplifting the importance of this work. Get involved, reach out to other community organizations, check online about what events or resources in your community are in the space of preventing lead poisoning. We have the honor of participating in the Glenn Network, in which we are able to work with the Learning Disability Association as well as the Ecology Center. And they're both doing great work, not only in moving the needle around lead prevention, but also in parent support. If you know anyone or you yourself are interested in joining or hearing more information about that work, you can email Melly Garcia at MELISSAG@ecocenter.org. You can check out for more information on the ecocenter.org, which is the Ecology Center Healthy Homes Coalition, hhcwm.org. But we thank everyone for joining. This was good, Michelle. I so appreciate your vulnerability and the time that you've taken out to share the experience of your family, and also sharing ways that our community can get involved so that we can reach children before they are poisoned, and create just a healthy standard of living in our homes. Thank you.
Jamila, I would also like to share that if we have any parents that have any extra time, we would love to have you as a parent advocate. Please join us. Your voice is needed. Your time is needed. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. Michelle, how can they reach out about parent ambassadors?
Well, actually, they can reach out to Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan if they would like to and become a part of our parent ambassadors. We would love to have them. We would love to have them. And they can just Google Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan.
Awesome. Awesome. We look forward to having them there. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Jamila, Michelle, and Melly. And I'll just repeat some of the resources again for folks that are interested in more information and in joining us in this work. So the Healthy Children Project website is healthychildrenproject.org. Melly, can you share your information again for the parent group? Folks are interested in learning more about that.
Yes, you can email me directly at melissag@ecocenter.org.
Great. And please do check out the Healthy Homes Coalition in Western Michigan as well. And I just would like to say, whether you live in Michigan or somewhere else, there are partners that we work with all over the United States around lead poisoning prevention. So feel free to reach out, and we will do our best to connect you with somebody locally in your area. But thank you so much to our three guests today. I really appreciate all of you, and it's an honor to work with you to protect children's brain health.
Thank you for listening to the LDA podcast. To learn more about LDA and to get valuable resources and support, visit ldaamerica.org.